Hello everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is another little labyrinth, and I thought we would talk about more connections, and this is one that I'm really excited about. This is about the scale of scales, or that's what I call it, and it's about all the things that you do on the dominant seventh and how they connect to each other. So I'll have a bigger episode kind of with some good examples, but I thought we'd get the ball rolling kind of talking about this a bit. So the way it works is we've talked about 6 things that go over a dominant seventh, and you don't have to just sit on one of them, of course. Like we talked about how I think I have examples in the substitutions episode where we're doing like a 6 on the 5 and then into a tritones minor. So if So that kind of thing. That's 6 on the 5 on G. This is D minor 6, and then A flat minor 6, and it creates that beautiful voicing, a little chromatic motion. So that's one example. But I started looking at this, and the way I think about it is the diminished chord is our center of what we would do to a dominant seventh. And let me explain. So if I take a G7 chord, so this is just drop 2 with the 7th in the bass, and I raise the root, that's where my diminished is, right? So let's start from the diminished, and let's go down from there. So what I mean is lowering a voice, and it becomes dominant seventh. I lowered my G sharp and it became G. Now I'm going to lower my D, and it becomes dominant 7 flat 5. Now I view that as the bottom of the scale, kind of. Dominant 7 flat 5 goes up to dominant seventh, goes up to the diminished. It's a 5 position thing. Dominant 7 flat 5, dominant seventh, diminished. And now after the diminished, I have, as I raise notes, I have my options for minor 6 chord substitutions. So what I mean by that is, here's diminished. I could go to the, if I raise the G sharp one more, that's D minor 6. D minor 6 is the 6 on the 5. Or if I go back to that diminished and I raise the 5th, then I get the tritones minor. That is A flat minor 6. What if I combine those two things? So I go from the diminished, maybe I raise my 9th and I raise my 5th. Now I get a dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th. So, and that's the final position, dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th, which is kind of connected to the beginning. Dominant 7 flat 5, dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th. Together they make the whole tone. They make that completes the whole tone. Because these 4 notes plus these 2 notes make the whole tone. So it's like whole tone and diminished and dominant 7th and minor 6. So connecting them all together, that was one option. That was going through the tritones minor. Now I'll do it, but I'll do the, instead of the tritones minor, I'll do the 6 on the 5. So it's just the order that I raise notes in. Now look at this. If I take this chord, this dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th, and raise it up 2 frets, I now have the next inversion of my dominant 7 flat 9, or flat 5. So I go dominant 7 sharp 5, raise it up. Now it's dominant 7 flat 5 with that exact same shape. So now, you might have guessed, we can do it from here. Dominant 7 flat 5, we're at the bottom of the pattern. We're going to go up to dominant 7 sharp 5. So raise the 5th, raise the 9th, right? And now I have options. This time, instead of doing I could go here, or I could go here. I'll do the 6 on the 5, and then I will raise my 5th, and now that's dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th. Raise it up a whole step. I'll do it chromatically this time. Right? So now, here I am at another position in this scale of scales. Dominant 7 flat 5, sharp 5. There's the diminished, and now I'll go tritones minor, and then I'm going to go, and I do the same thing. Now I have dominant 7 flat 5. I just moved up 2. Going to raise the 4th string to make it. There's a dominant 7th. There's a diminished. And then this time I'll go raise that to the 6 on the 5. And now I need to go. That's the sharp 5. That's dominant 7 sharp 5 with the 9th. And I'm back to the beginning where I started. So that connects all of that. You can do this on any voicing, starting with the dominant 7th sharp 5, right? There's a tritone's minor, and then I go. You can do it anywhere. Now, this is to get familiarity and see the connections, but you don't have to do all of them. You could just do part of it. But let's be kind of extreme, because what you'll find, I don't view it like I'm playing a whole bunch of chords. I'm not like trying to play every single chord I know. I'm just making movement. But I practice this way so that I can see the movement. I'm seeing chromatic movement, connecting things, and that's really the principle that's guiding it. It's the same as everything. You know, we learn all of these chords, all these voicings, but then it's meant to let us just see the basic movement. To see the movement and make lines by seeing how we connect those things. So then the chords start to disappear in our kind of awareness at certain points, and we just focus on lines. So by the same token, so I could go like, and then, you know, so that could be like playing on a 2/5. So, you know, so I'm thinking of Don't Blame Me. That's stuck in my head right now. So, and then something like that. You know, that could be something in a tune that's not, I'm thinking of Don't Blame Me there. Don't blame me. So, but that might be extreme to you. Fine, you could just connect little things. You could just go, you know, that could be nice. You could go from, you know, if you see all these connections, you can go and maybe think like, I'm going to think Dom. And then, so I went dominant 7, flat 5, up the scale. I went to that diminished in the middle, you know, just seeing those connections. But you can practice this everywhere, and that can be really pretty. So that's the big picture, and I think it's a really good idea to practice the extensive version, just like with anything. Like, say we've talked about Barry's chromatic scale, and so on G7 I go. That's the full chromatic scale, putting a note in between everything. And when I don't have a fret available, I jump up to the next scale degree. Right, and I talked about that in the chromatic scale episode. I practice that, you know, extensively. You know, just getting used to it. But then I'm probably just going to go, you know, like, what's one? That might be a lot. See, that wouldn't be all I do with the chromatic scale. So I'm on G7, starting on the 3rd. So I did a pivot, and I went down a chord on the tritone. So I'm not going to, just because I'm practicing it, I'm not going to maybe use it the whole time, right? I'm going to combine it with other things. By the same token, and then, right? You know, that might be how I use it. It's just what I did there was I went, I did a bar right, and then I moved out. This is F major 6 for my 2 chord. I'm on drop 2 and 4. And then I went to a drop 2 and 4. So I did drop 2 and 4, dominant 7 flat 5, raised. So I'm just kind of running through those. Dominant 7 flat 5, dominant 7, diminished, and then this is the dominant 7 sharp 5, flat 9. So I skipped over the minor 6s completely. that's the kind of idea there. You can put anywhere. So we'll look at this more, but I think it's connected. It's an important connection to make, I think, and I think it's really beautiful. And again, it may seem extreme if you're viewing it like, gosh, you're just playing all the chords, but I don't think of it like that at all. I think of it just like, I'm just thinking of it as chromatic motion that I'm creating. And it's really, whoops, just like that's pretty, something like that. So these little motions. So I hope that's been interesting. I will be doing something a little bigger with examples of using this, but I thought it'd be cool to share. And if you have any feedback or ideas, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll be following up with more soon. Take care and keep practicing.